What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Sex and Sobriety. Today, I'm going to talk about harm reduction. So basically, harm reduction is the advocacy for safer drug use practices. So things like naloxone or Narcan, things like fentanyl test strips, things like safe use sites, clean needle exchanges, etc. So basically, there's a lot of mixed opinions on harm reduction. A lot of people assume that it's some form of enabling. The thing is that the ultimate goal when it comes to harm reduction is reducing overdose deaths, okay? So that's the most important thing. Basically, someone can't get, into recovery if they're dead. So we need to keep that in mind. So look, I'll be honest. Humanity, empathy, these are things that are kind of like not there as much with a large majority of our population, and they straight up fucking just don't care about addicts and they think that they should die. And this is very concerning because I see this all the time on TikTok, specifically when I'm advocating for things like Narcan. So let's jump into these specific areas when it comes to harm reduction. So first off, I want to talk about Narcan or naloxone. So basically, this is a intramuscular formulation or liquid that you can basically use a needle and put it into almost anywhere because it's intramuscular. And then the other form of Narcan would be the nasal spray. So that is an actual spray that you spray up into someone's nose. It's important to get training so you know really what to do. If you're interested in Narcan training, you can go to www.endoverdose.net right now. Okay. So basically, that is used to treat people who are overdosing or have overdosed on opiates, okay? Specifically opiates. So if you were to give it to someone that was having some other type of complication, it's not gonna cause issues. If someone's not on opiates and overdosing, then it's not gonna fuck anything up, okay? So keep that in mind. So basically, those are the two forms of Narcan that you can get. Like I said, if you want these for free, you can get them on endoverdose.net. And basically, they are a California-based nonprofit. We are actually collaborating and looking into forming a headquarters here in Austin, Texas. And so hit them up for Narcan training, fentanyl test strips, and Narcan. All right, so the next thing is going to be things like safe use sites and needle exchanges, okay? So that's something that we don't have here in Austin, Texas, but it is growing in popularity. Personally, a lot of people feel that specifically is enabling, but like I said, when it comes to that, they can actually implement a lot of other harm reduction tools in the safe use site. So they can do fentanyl test strips, they can have Narcan. So basically, if someone, overdoses, they can immediately do what they need to reverse it and get the medical attention. The thing is when it comes to drug culture, let's just talk about the fucking facts, bro. Like a lot of people don't care about their well-being or if they live or die. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, in active addiction, I wanted to die because I was so fucking miserable. So it wasn't like, I didn't even know what Narcan was, okay? But it wasn't like, if I knew about it, I probably wouldn't have even sought it out. You know what I mean? So it's really important to get it out to not only people who are, suffering from substance use disorder, but for people that are casual users, because generally they will be a lot more mindful of that. And I'm not saying that they have priority over people with substance abuse disorder. I'm just saying we need to get it out there as much as we can. So basically, it's really important to test all of your substances now. And like I just said, when it comes to casual or recreational users, it's even more important because they don't have tolerance, okay? So you can take something like cocaine, you could like rail some coke and then overdose on fentanyl or carfentanil. So specifically when it comes to the fentanyl test strips, I believe they test for up to 10 analogs. You know what I mean? So there's some that it may not apply to, but the most prevalent ones, it's gonna pop up for that. So yeah, really, it's just like, dude, if we can reduce overdose and end it, then why wouldn't we do that? So I'm going to talk about kind of some of the politics of this, though. So, when it comes to like the general idea, a lot of people are opposed to harm reduction tools because they feel like other, life-sustaining and life-saving medications are not accessible for free. Now, look, we don't have to demonize Narcan or fentanyl test strips just because people can't get free insulin and stuff like that, okay? Like, this is completely insane. The same thing people will argue when it comes to EpiPens and shit like that. Do I think that all that stuff should be accessible and free? Honestly, yes. You want to call me a socialist? I don't fucking care. I'm just saying, dude, let's reduce harm. Let's reduce harm. There's no reason I can't think of any reason out there that we shouldn't reduce harm, because ultimately the goal when it comes to integrating people with substance use disorder back into society is that they want them to work. They want them to function. They can't do that if they're fucking dead. So we need to do what we can to get people alive, and then they can start working on themselves in recovery, or they can, try to implement other things. And basically, it doesn't have to be an abstinence-based idea. Just as long as people are alive and are not harming themselves actively and putting others at risk, then that's good. We should settle for that. But unfortunately, as a society, we've been so fucking dehumanized, dude. We've been so dehumanized that people just think that it's a wild idea to not want people to die. It doesn't make any sense. So a lot of the stigma will contribute to that way of thinking. And then I'll be completely honest. There's a lot of people that have resentments towards people with substance use disorder and people, that are, dealing with issues with alcohol and just, any substance out there. And so when they hear like, oh, look, there's these resources available, a lot of them are jaded and just downright fucking resentful about it, and salty. So I'm just gonna be real. Like, look, I can understand people have different opinions and stuff like that, but like if you're straight up out there and you're like against saving someone's life, you need to fucking reevaluate your whole situation, bro, because that's straight up just, it's not cool, okay? So look, let's talk about harm reduction within the recovery community. Okay, so there's some people even in the recovery community that don't really understand what harm reduction is, and then there's some people that are more into like drug culture that are like extremists when it comes to it. And let me share what I mean by that. So first, let's look at the people that are in recovery and that don't quite understand it. So even some of our own in recovery can look at it and be like, this is some sort of enabling. The thing is that they're basing that on their subjective experience. And it's just, I'm sorry, it's not in alignment with where we're at right now, because fentanyl, in the last 12 months was the #1 leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 45. So surpassing COVID, car accidents, gun violence, fucking like everything, dude. So it's time to take action. So look, on a side note, even if you're not someone who uses substances ever, get some Narcan, bro. Get some Narcan. Go to endoverdose.net and get some Narcan. So let's look at the other side. Let's look at the like crazy kind of extremists, like anarchists when it comes to the harm reduction. So basically this can get into a weird territory because some of these very people, they have a limited understanding about substance use disorder. And I feel like they're almost accidentally or inadvertently kind of promoting the idea of just like substance use in general, and even can be for like the idea of like giving everyone, like free heroin or some shit. Like it's very weird. I don't vibe with that. I don't resonate with that. It's this weird extremism that I don't necessarily subscribe to. I think that harm reduction, my ideal form of harm reduction, is paired with accountability and direct communication. So we can share our lived experience and actually caution people when it comes to some of these substances that really have, in my opinion, no fucking value whatsoever. Okay, there's some out there like that just, in my opinion, don't have any fucking value. That's my opinion. That's just my take on it. So it's very polarized. Okay, so I kind of like to like take both sides, like the really extreme side and the like more reserved side, and kind of like look at that and try to think of it from different people's perspective. But what is the ultimate conclusion that I come to? The ultimate conclusion is that we need to advocate for harm reduction. It doesn't matter how we do it. It is very important.